this computer. All right, technology. Here we go. Okay. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. Welcome to our whiskey cocktail series. Cooking class, I guess that's what we call it. But we're doing whiskey cocktails today, indoor bourbon cocktails, because it's St. Patrick's Day. We really are we're a whiskey household. We're a whiskey and wine household. I am more of a whiskey drinker as opposed to other spirits. I enjoy gin and tequila, but you are primarily a whiskey or
Whiskey's
bourbon.
my go-to, but
And vodka. I don't like vodka. Fun fact about me. But I'm going to show you guys how to make my whiskey sour. It is a really easy recipe that I've been loving lately, and Jared is going to show you guys how to make a really classic Manhattan. It's going to make you a snob at restaurants when you go out to eat, because this one is probably better than what you will get in most restaurants or at bars.
Well, I'm also going to comment on your whiskey sour, because I feel like all the whiskey sours I ever tried were like some kind of
sour mix. Yeah, this doesn't. This
doesn't, and it's like
real deal, and it's
better.
So good. So do you want to start? Do you want me to start?
Let's just whip it up. Are we going at the same time?
No,
okay,
we're going to talk through it. You know, age before beauty. He's older.
You call me old.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me get you some ice though. So you start. Yeah. Jared's going to do his Manhattan first, so I'll kind of get out of your way here. I think this is all me that you need all this jazz.
So you want to, so guys, for this recipe, Allie has here glass. I like to make my Manhattans up. I have a glass currently in the freezer. I like to have a chilled glass when I start this.
That's what he was doing.
That was my little secret tidbit, but yeah, I'm gonna grab that quick.
Oh, okay. He's gonna grab a glass. Things you should have done before we started. Sorry about the ice. But how did you do that? This chilled glass here?
Very, very easy. Yeah, just basically ran it under water and threw it in the freezer for 15 minutes.
Okay, so step one. And what kind of glass? Well, this is a coupe glass, but traditionally Manhattans are served in martini glasses. We really like these coupe glasses. They work well, so you can see the shape. And Jared serves his up. They're typically served up, so without ice. So this kind of helps to keep the glass cold, and you're going to chill the cocktail beforehand.
Yep.
But just a little fancy step. So you only did this, what, 20 minutes ago?
Yeah, not even.
So like 20 minutes before you might, 4:30 p.m. on Friday, run glass underwater, put it in the freezer.
No, or you could just what I like to do is take a couple of them. You have a couple extra glasses, put some water on them, and throw them in the freezer. That way you come home on the weekend and ready to go.
Wow. All right. Tips all around. Wow.
Anyway.
Do that more often. Okay, go ahead.
So let's get started here. So you provided my ice. This is a shake. Allie's probably going to use a shaker.
Yeah, I'm going to use a shaker.
I just have a simple ball jar here, but a lot of people have a whiskey stirring glass.
A cocktail stirring pitcher.
Sure. Okay.
That's what it's called.
Okay.
So honestly, a mason jar works just fine. You're using all the ice?
Well, yeah, I like to use.
That was for both of us.
Well, I'll get you more.
All right, he's going to get me ice. Okay, yes, but do you want to explain why you're using a cocktail pitcher instead of a shaker?
So I personally, I found out over the years, I used to use a shaker, put my ice in here, put my bourbon or whiskey, depending on what I was using, into the shaker. I no longer do that just because I don't like to shake it. I feel like a good cocktail or a good Manhattan is typically stirred, not shaken.
Yes, stirred, not shaken.
Yeah, kind of.
And I'll explain to you guys when we get to my cocktail why I am using the shaker. It's something to do with the agitation.
Yeah, right. When you actually.
Yeah, we'll get there. I have a secret ingredient, but for his, it's better to stir a Manhattan or even a martini, right? Mm-hmm. And not shake.
Yeah, we'll have a nice brown. Let's see our nice brown at the end of this.
Okay, so it doesn't make it as watered down.
Yeah, it kind of muddles it. Is that the right word? Or no.
Well, I guess
agitates it. I guess like you were saying, but
yeah, I guess muddled down would be the term. It's watered down.
Yeah. Anyway, so we're gonna get started here. I have just a simple jigger. So I sometimes measure it out. Depends, but
depends on how he's feeling.
Depends how I'm feeling. If I had a really long day. So I am using for my Manhattan up. I typically like to use a good rye. You can use bourbon. I'll do a bourbon up, but the original Manhattan is made using a good rye whiskey.
Okay.
So I'm gonna take my jigger, measure out. This is 1 shot.
That is 2 ounces.
2 ounces, 1 shot. Yep. So we're gonna do 1.
2 full ones?
2 and maybe just a little change. Okay.
I'm shocked. You usually don't do that much.
Yeah.
All right. Well, typically it's like 3 ounces to 3.5 ounces. So 3 to 3.5 ounces. At least that's what I had written in the recipe. So if you'd like a little extra love, you can add extra love.
So now that I have my rye in here, sorry, my left side doesn't work.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm gonna just stir this up real quick. Get that started. Next, I'm gonna move over.
Clockwise, counterclockwise. Talk about. I mean, you don't need the spoon, but it's nice.
These are really, really convenient. Reason being is like you think, oh, it's just a spoon, but really it's not, because you'll see that I get my Luxardos out of there, and yeah, it just makes it much easier when you're like using a big stirring pitcher.
So a long-handled cocktail spoon is really great,
yeah.
And like so if you wanted to spend on cocktail equipment, stick with your mason jar, but the spoon is kind of where it's at.
You can pick up the whole like bar set on pretty much anywhere online.
Yeah,
it's pretty reasonable. But so here we're using our Martini Rossi vermouth.
Is that sweet vermouth?
This is sweet vermouth. Yes.
What's the difference?
Well, you got a sweet vermouth and you have a dry vermouth. Dry vermouth is typically used in a martini.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. So does it add like a little sweetness to body?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Okay, so like richness, depth, and a hint of sweet. That's what you're getting from the sweet vermouth. So I've bought you dry vermouth before by mistake, because you were just like, I need vermouth.
Definitely not the same.
I thought because it was like a dry whiskey drink, it was dry vermouth, but it's sweet vermouth. So I stood corrected and surprised.
So on to the next step. I'm going to turn the jigger over to the small end. We're going to use like a 1/2 ounce, 2/3 of an ounce of sweet vermouth.
Wow, 2/3 of an ounce. That's precise.
Yeah, something like kind of.
0.75 ounces.
Well, yeah, it's the perfect cocktail. You got to have just the right amount. So we're gonna dump that in there, and then.
Would you say you like tweak this to your liking too? So like if you like a little bit sweeter.
Yeah, depending on what you like,
add
a little more, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and then moving over. A lot of people use bitters. There's a lot of different brands. Angostura, I believe, is a lot of people.
That's like the go-to. Angostura bitters are.
Yeah, I'm using this. It's bare root bitters. Allie and I were actually out in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and came across
on our honeymoon
these bitters on our honeymoon. Well, when I was having in Manhattan. Yeah. And gosh, they're awesome.
They're like handcrafted bitters. Now, bitters are really just like an extraction, and they add flavor to your cocktail. You've had a Manhattan before. Actually, it was on our anniversary. It was a place my dad recommended that we go. I'm totally blanking on the name. It's in Atlantic City, totally old school, and they use black walnut bitters. That's also really, really good in a Manhattan. So there are some flavored bitters, or you have like classic. Sometimes you use orange bitters.
Yeah, depends. There's all different.
You have orange in here.
Yeah.
This is like loved, this one. So this has definitely been used. It's very loved. But so sometimes you use that.
Yeah. So for tonight, we're going to use.
That's a classic bitter from Bare Root?
This is considered their old-fashioned aromatic. They make like all different ones that are,
Hold it up close.
Yeah, so here's the Bare Root.
And it's actually like a little dripper bottle.
Yeah, a little dripper bottle. And there's like, everything's hand. I mean, everything from, raisins, cloves, cinnamon, coriander, nutmeg. I mean, it's all kinds of different stuff in here, but
that's like where the flavor comes from.
Really tasty.
So if you're somebody that's like, I don't know if I love whiskey, I feel like I do like the taste of whiskey. I won't just like drink bourbon on rocks, but like a Manhattan, I find it tasty, and I think that's what takes it up a notch for me.
So I'm just gonna do
a little bit.
Well, normally with bitters, you just give it a quick dash. These are not, I'll say this, potent, maybe?
Oh, those aren't as
Yeah,
strong.
they're not.
So,
they're not.
yeah, normally when he's using this, he just kind of
It's just a dash. 1-2 dash.
Yeah, caps on.
Done. I usually do 2 of these.
I might use this in the orange in mine
The
instead of that one.
I call it an eye drop.
I pipette.
A pipette. There you go.
I
I knew there was a tip. So 2 of those, and then again, stir.
Clockwise or counter?
I go clockwise.
I noticed he only goes one direction.
So real quick, I'm missing one other tool.
What?
So I can.
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah.
We definitely need that.
Real quick though, I know where it's at. So
Cocktail
real quick,
strainer.
I like to stir this up.
You should have left your glass in there. It's kind of defrosted
Yeah.
a little bit. Leave it in there until the last second.
Try not to wait too long with the ice too, because it starts to melt. Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to Zero.
And then we're just gonna pour away. Pretty simple.
Simple.
It's very.
Look at that. Look at how beautiful that is.
Classic.
Can everybody hear okay? Got any questions?
Now, we're not quite done.
Oh, I know, but I just want to make sure everybody's like following, hearing.
As you can see, like, you thought I used a little too much alcohol or whatever, but like that actually
fills it up.
filled it up perfectly.
Yeah, okay.
So
I stand corrected. More booze.
And then moving over just to top it off. You know what? I'm actually gonna wait till the very, because that'll be my very last thing I do. So we got a nice orange here. What I like to do is take a peeler and just take a nice rind, just like that.
This is why I wash all my fruit right after I go to the grocery store.
Right on in there.
Okay, great. You can hear clearly.
And
Thank
then you can use a simple maraschino cherry to top it off. When I first discovered these Luxardos, real game changer. So
Luxardo is, or they claim to be, the original maraschino cherry. If you've never seen one before, they're really, really dark in color. Can you hold that up to the camera?
Sure.
This color of the glass jar is like the color of the cherry. They're very dark. They're like the color of a dark Bing cherry.
Mm-hmm.
And they are.
It's like in a syrup,
and thick, and they're so delicious, and like the texture is just next level. It is what makes a great drink.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're out and you get a maraschino cherry as opposed to one of these babies, it's like worlds different.
So yeah, this is kind of the last step here, but we're gonna I like to take 2 of these. You could take a toothpick. Sometimes I do have toothpicks that are they're infused.
They're bourbon barrel smoked toothpicks that I got.
Yeah, so they're a nice little addition
touch.
to the.
However, I feel like when you scoop it, you get just like a little bit of the syrup, and that, like, to me, that is like yeah.
So I dropped 2 of those in here. When this gets down though, these spoons are really nice because you're like with other ones you're trying to like dig in there. These are just like
kind of sticky and gross.
So yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it. We'll give it a taste. Give it a rip. You get to sample and I get to sample. Yeah. Anybody?
Cheers to everybody watching on St. Paddy's Day.
Yeah.
It's delicious.
How was it? Any questions for Jared? Jared made a good point recently. Fresh Luxardos are crunchy and they're the best. Yes. Did you make your cocktail? Woohoo! Show off your cocktails.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. Cheers.
Cheers.
Woo! There's a kick. I like it. That's a really good one, though.
It's like a mule.
Yeah. It's so well balanced. Cheers, Ivy says. Yeah, and Jared did make a really good point this weekend. Like a fresh Luxardo cherry, they're crunchier and they just have like more.
Yeah, and a lot of people, I guess, the first thing a lot of people do with cherries too is, and I'm guilty of it, is you open a fresh jar of cherries and you immediately put them in the refrigerator. I would be cautious with doing that with the Luxardos because this syrup kind of gets very thick.
It coagulates.
Yeah, it actually says on here that these do not need to be refrigerated.
Which we didn't know until recently.
So, I mean, you can. It's not the end of the world if you do, but...
and they are a little bit of a spend, so I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Like, if you get them, they do, last a long time. Let's see. Yeah, 2020 24, so 3 years.
Yeah, they last a while.
So, and they're definitely worth it.
Might last another week or two.
Yeah, another week or two we'll get out of this. But yeah. Okay, well, for those of you that are making Manhattans, I hope you have enjoyed Jared's dissertation on the Manhattan. As you can see, we're very passionate about that. Why don't you go get me some ice?
Okay.
And I'm sure for a lot of you guys, this might be, you might think I'm kind of silly for showing this, but I'm going to make a whiskey sour cocktail. I'll wait till you stop getting the ice.
Okay.
So I'm going to make the whiskey sour cocktail, and a lot of us have probably had them like out. It's something that I probably order when I like first started to drink because they can be a little bit sweeter. Typically, like you see them with like the bottle of neon yellow sour mix, and they're very sweet. I've started making them, and I had fallen in love with cocktails with egg white, which makes it a little frothy. I'll explain more in a second. But however, we do use simple syrup in this recipe. You do need a sweetener. And I just wanted to like quickly show you guys how we go about making our simple syrup, because we keep it in hand on the fridge. I know it's kind of a moot point and you guys might laugh at me, but soup to nuts, this is how you make this cocktail. So we do have a small tip for simple syrup that is like a little bit next level. Just a saucepan. This is 1.5 cups of granulated white sugar. That just goes right in here. And Jared, this is Jared's tip, but when he makes simple syrup, he does a little less water than sugar. So usually it's 50-50. Like, so this is 1.5 cups of sugar. I'm going to do 1 cup of water. Sometimes he does double. That's like really overkill. That's like some serious syrup.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need as much, but it does definitely change the taste.
And the texture. It's a little bit like more syrupy. So I'm just going to put this on an appropriate burner in the back. And
So that's just 1 to 1. Yeah, right.
no, it's not 1 to 1. It's 1.5 cups of sugar to 1 cup of water.
Oh, okay.
So it's like kind of that sweet spot. And I can send an email about that. All you really want to do is just stir this until the sugar is dissolved. I'll let Jared man that, but this is our simple syrup. We just keep it in we're big mason jar people. We just keep it in the mason jar in the fridge. But beware, you know, it does get kind of sticky after a little bit. But this is what it looks like. I mean, it is a little more viscous than water. Obviously, you guys probably know what simple syrup is, but excuse me, I just wanted to go over that. Where's my, oh, it's right here. But anyway, so if you've had a whiskey sour before, it might have been like an overly sweet variety. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Ivy said, I never thought of making simple syrup at home. Who ever knew it was that simple? Pun intended. I love it. Exactly. Yeah, just make it at home, because it can be like $5.99 in the store, which isn't bad. But if you can just make a simple, small batch, keep it in the fridge, and it's a total lifesaver, and you're never like, oh crap, I'm out of simple syrup. What do I do? But this is a really well-balanced version of a whiskey sour. This is a classic whiskey sour, like a real interpretation of it. And it's just something that I've been really, really liking, because this is Manhattan's a little strong for me. It's a little much whiskey. I like it, but I can't drink a whole one. So this is a nice marriage between like a sour, tart, very slightly sweet drink that I super enjoy. So I am using a cocktail shaker for this drink. The reason being is I'm going to add egg white to this cocktail. Yes, it is raw egg. I use organic not grass-fed eggs. Eggs don't eat grass. Oh my gosh. Organic free-range eggs. If you are somebody that does not like to eat raw egg or food, this might not be the cocktail for you, or you just omit it. But what happens is when I shake the cocktail and I kind of emulsify that egg white with the cold ice, it gets frothy and foamy and like a little bit thick. It's so good. I would invite you to try this, even if you're just watching this portion of the class today. But that is why we're using cocktail shaker. So I'm just going to add, I just have just some regular old bullet bourbon. I'm not going to use, he didn't even talk about this. He used Whistle Pig in his Manhattan.
I think I did. I think I mentioned that I used Whistle Pig.
Which is a little bit higher end of a bourbon. I think for recipes.
Well, not a bourbon, a rye.
I'm sorry, a rye whiskey.
Yes.
Hi. But I think for recipes where you're adding like simple syrup and flavorful ingredients like lemon and simple syrup that really do kind of add a lot to a cocktail, I would not use your best alcohol.
I was just feeling it today.
He was
St.
feeling
Patty's
it,
Day,
St. Patrick's Day.
Special occasion.
If not, he would probably use Bullet Rye
Yeah.
for his Manhattan. I'm just going to use a regular shot, 2 ounces for myself. You're welcome to make this a little more stout and add 3 ounces. And then you can use anywhere from an ounce to a half an ounce to an ounce of simple syrup. For me, I just use like a half an ounce. I like a less sweet drink.
So just to go back, like just a couple ice cubes, like that's something I kind of like look at when I'm starting off, like, you know.
How many?
I mean, 5? I put in there, I put like 5 or 6 maybe, just guessing, but.
Yeah, 5 or 6 cocktails. Enough to make it cold and like the cocktail is like kind of.
But you probably don't want to use too much, right?
Not
because
too
it will
much.
Start to.
Yeah. And
dilute.
here I'm talking, it's going to go much quicker when you're just making it yourself. Now I have a lemon here. This is a really juicy lemon. I can tell it's very heavy. I'm just juicing it. And, but you do need a good amount of lemon juice for this recipe. It's very lemony, which I absolutely love.
Is there another way of like
juicing it?
Juicing it?
I mean, you can just like
Just
squeeze it over top.
Yeah.
But the reason I like using you probably don't get as much. And the reason I like using this is you do want to measure it and make sure you have enough. I probably need a little more. You need like a full ounce of lemon juice, which is a good bit. So you almost need like a full. This is a very juicy lemon.
So there you got 2/3 out of that.
Yeah, this is a very juicy lemon, so I probably won't need like the full thing. But if it's not the juiciest lemon or it's a smaller lemon, you can just add the whole lemon, especially if you like lemon.
Well, that thing's good too because it picks out your seeds kind of for you.
Yeah, it does. It's a nice little citrus press. So I'm just going to go ahead and add my lemon. And then the last thing, actually, I sometimes add a little bitters if you want to kick it up a notch. So I'm going to add just a dash, like 1 dash of this. These are the orange bitters, so it's citrus. Again, reinforcing that citrus flavor. And then I'm just going to add my egg white. Jared's checking on the simple syrup. So depending on how proficient you are in separating egg, you can just do it right over the glass. And so I've got my nice little yolk here. And let me just wash off my hands really quick. All right. And then, okay, all you need to do, securely put on your lid of your cocktail shaker. And this release a little bit. Securely, because I've done that. Shake. I go for like a solid, means 15 to 30 seconds. And it gets cold. Like you want your hand to be cold.
So it's really like a reaction there almost.
Exactly. So there's like a reaction happening in here. And the egg white is emulsifying. Cocktail shaker is cold. It's,
almost too cold.
Condensation.
Right? Like
yeah, it hurts my hand. So this is stuck. Oh no, it's not stuck. So it's actually even a little foamy. So I'm gonna take it nice and close so you guys can see. And it's nice and like, you see there's this layer of foam forming on the top. So if you wanted to use 3 ounces here, there'd be a little more to the cocktail. This is perfect for me though. It's plenty. I just want to make sure there's no foam left. There's a lot of foam left in there, so if you want, you can even do one of these guys.
Oh wow!
See all the foam?
I think you've done that before.
I have done that before quite a couple of times. Okay. Simple syrup is pretty much dissolved. So when the sugar is dissolved in the simple syrup, just give it a little mix, let it cool, and then just transfer it to a jar.
Yeah, that's an important part. Make sure it cools.
Oh my gosh, yeah, Jared like broke a glass one time, didn't you?
No, well, I was just saying, I mean,
Actually, I think we did. Yeah.
Yeah, we broke a glass. But yeah, you want to make sure it's cool before you use it for cocktails. That's
Yeah.
why I use what we had. But I wanted to let this sit for a second and show you guys, like, if you could see the little frothy whiteness of top. That the egg white cocktails are very popular these days. They're trendy, but for good reason. It's so delicious and smooth. I'll give it a taste. That is like probably my favorite cocktail ever. And I could even do more lemon juice. Like, I love lemon. Yeah, you get to try. Did anybody make the whiskey sour?
Delicious.
Isn't that good? So even for you, who's not like a sweet drink person,
Yeah.
oh, okay, I think made this. Yay. Okay, perfect. Paul said, not me. Yeah, well, he doesn't like sweet drinks. So, and not that this is not like a sweet drink. I would never like classify it in the category of like a Cosmo or something. It has like a nice body, but like it's just I would say like a refreshed version of a cocktail made with bourbon or whiskey for people that really like maybe not like a Manhattan. And Ivy says it's her first time even tasting a whiskey sour and she feels very fancy. I'm so glad. Me too. I feel like it's nice, especially when
it's up.
Yeah, sure. Cheers. I feel like it's nice when Jared makes himself a Manhattan. Now I have my own favorite little cocktail to join him with. I'm going to turn off the recording. And if anybody has any questions, let's see.